everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, we're going to make a woven rainbow wall hanging. This is a fun and pretty little project that's so cheerful, and we're going to be using some simple materials to make this. We're going to use a small embroidery hoop, and then I'm going to show you how to weave a little rainbow into it. We're going to add some fun fringe that kind of mimics our rainbow and kind of brings it down. And then I'm going to show you how to make some pom-pom clouds, and we're going to put the whole thing together and add a little hanging loop at the top. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors, an embroidery hoop. Really any size is fine. I'm going to be using a little mini one. Just know the larger you go, the more yarn you'll use for this. We're going to be using some white embroidery floss. I like to use something a little bit thinner because we're going to be doing a spectrum of colors, and the fluffy yarn will sort of hide it. If we used white yarn, it would show through more. The yarn that we'll be using though to do our actual weaving is Red Heart Super Saver, and we're going to be using the amethyst, the Delft blue, the spring green, the bright yellow, the pumpkin, the cherry red, and the white. You can really use any yarn you like for weaving. It's totally up to you. This is a great project for stash busting as well. So let's begin by setting up, I'm going to scoot this yarn out of the way. Let's begin by setting up our hoop and doing our embroidery floss to kind of set up for our weaving. So pop the middle out of your hoop, and what you'll want to do is grab some of your embroidery floss, that's a mouthful, and tie it onto your hoop. Okay, we're not going to worry about this little tail for now. We'll weave that in later into the back when we're finished weaving our project. So what we're going to do next is, holding this tail kind of out of the way, we're going to start making a series of crisscrosses with our floss. So take your skein and pull a little bit out. As a side note, this is called blanc. Usually these have number colors, but this is white. So I guess they just call it that. This doesn't have a number associated with it. What you're going to do is hold your hoop, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this yarn behind us so you can see everything with more contrast. And we're going to just go straight down, go around, and we're going to start crisscrossing. So go crisscross, crisscross, and just crisscross all the way around your hoop. Now, if the crisscrossed areas of your X's are not perfectly centered, don't worry about that right now. We're going to straighten everything out when we're finished. But just for right now, just focus on getting everything. Okay, so once it's tied on, hold your hoop and go straight down, around, come off over to the side a little bit, and then crisscross it and do the same thing. And just keep making X's all the way around your hoop. Now, if things aren't perfectly spaced or the middle of your X's aren't in the exact center, that's okay. We're going to go through and kind of straighten everything out. But as you're wrapping, you don't want to go so tight that it's awkward to hold, but you want to make sure that your hoop and the embroidery floss on it has some really nice tension, because that's how it's going to help with your weaving if things aren't loose. So I went all the way around, and now I'm going to cut the yarn, and we're going to just tie a knot in the top to kind of fasten this off, okay? So I'm just going to go around this loop here and tie it off. Once everything is crisscrossed on there, then you can take your tapestry needle. You can kind of push things around. Now, I will say that when you start weaving, it will really make things kind of fall into place, okay? So then what you're going to do is take your hoop and put it back on to your middle hoop. And then you're going to, these little tails, we're just going to let them fall out the back. We will deal with those at the end when we weave everything in. So you're just going to tighten this up. And then you're ready to weave. So to begin, we're going to grab some purple. We're going to start from the center. We're going to do, from the outside, we're going to do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. So violet will be our first color because we're going to work from the center outward. So grab about 2 feet or so of your purple, and you're going to thread your tapestry needle just with a little tail. And then we're going to start weaving. Now when you're weaving, you're going to start by kind of filling in the middle first. Now if you look at your piece that you did, you're going to have a top layer of string and a bottom layer of string. We're going to treat that top and bottom layer, see how they're sort of in groups? We're going to treat that like a section or a pass. So each pass will be one of those sections. So figure out where you want your rainbow to start. Do you want it to be exactly halfway, or do you want it to curve around a little bit more? I'm going to have mine curve around a little bit more. So I'm going to go up from the back, and then we're going to fill in the middle first. So come up from the back and go straight across in between one of these two. We're going to make a plus sign, and then we're going to make an X, okay, just to get it kind of filled in, and then we'll fill the rest in. Okay, so leave yourself a little tail in the bottom. And then this is totally optional. Some weavers do not like to tie knots at all, but I do. I think it gets everything nice and like straightened out. You can tie a knot if you like, and then trim. And then what you're going to do next is go directly across. So remember, we're making a little plus sign. So go over across here. And remember, the two layers are considered one pass. Now I just went in between them exactly at the moment I was saying that. So go straight across like that. And now we're going to make our little X. So the opposite side of what you did before, we'll go across this time. Okay, what we're simply doing is kind of straightening everything out, and we're also filling in the middle so that it doesn't look like a little cluster of strings, okay? And then we'll just go across here. Make sure this first part too is nice and snug when you're weaving it, because you don't want it to look all loose on this first part. This is our first pass. Okay, so now we're ready to weave. So what we want to do is figure out where you want, like I said, where you want your rainbow to start. So I'm going to have mine go here around the side, and I'm going to go up under, and we're just going to do a simple over, under kind of pattern. There are more intricate weaving patterns, but we're going to keep it very simple and just do over, under. Now it is a little bit easier to kind of stay on the edges as you work, and then later push everything inward, okay? Okay, we're just going to keep going around. Over, under, over, under, over, under. And then just weave it on in like that. And then remember, we were talking where we wanted our rainbow to end. So once you get to the spot where your rainbow ends, what we're going to do is kind of make a U-turn and come back, okay? So before you do that though, actually let me do, where am I? Okay, I'm going to come under this one, over this one, and make my U-turn. Okay, so before you go back around and do the other side, what you want to do is pull this in really snug. Just give it a nice firm tug. It's pretty strong. And then we're going to do a U-turn and do the same thing. Over, under, over, under. Pull it through every so often. Over. Okay, keep pulling all the way around. And we're going to do a few passes of each color before switching, and I'm going to show you how to switch. Okay, let's do one more pass of our purple, and then I'm going to show you how to switch colors. Now, just as a little tip, I think it's a little bit easier to work along the edges and then push things inward as you finish each pass, okay? So just keep working around, and every so often give it a pull, and everything will kind of fall into place. Also, I wanted to show you that if you, as you work, if you push this stuff down, it is a little bit neater looking and denser. So, okay, when you've gone around and you've made enough passes through here, remember each pass, give it a nice firm tug, push things down. What we're going to do is we're going to take our tapestry needle and we're going to kind of take this through one of these back loops to sort of tie it off, okay? So just take it through there, pull it almost all the way through, and then go through that loop, and then just kind of like snug it down to finish it, okay? Now we're starting to get a little bit of a rainbow shape, very exciting. All right, so now we can take our needle off and cut this yarn. If you have some sticking up, it's totally fine. It's not going to be seen later. All right, now when you're ready to switch colors, you can grab your new color. We're going to do another 2 feet or so, same thing we did before. Our next color is blue in our rainbow sequence. So we're going to start where we started before. We're going to come up from the back, leaving a little tail, and then just continue our over, under sequence. Okay, let's do a few of these together in our new color, and then we're going to kind of fasten everything down so we can keep going. Okay, so we're going to do a few passes with the blue, and then we'll move on to the green and so forth. We're going to do the rest of the colors on our own, but I just wanted to get you started on our first few colors so you could see how to get started and how to switch colors and keep everything, whoops, nice and neat looking. I went through in between 2 of them there. Remember, we're still working the top and bottom together of these string layers. Okay, so we're just coming around. I feel like when you're doing this, the beginning can be tricky because it is a little bit harder to see what you're doing. Okay, here's the end. So we're just going to pull everything in nice and tight. And then we're going to make a U-turn. So I just came under that last string. I'm going to go back over this time, okay? And that will kind of hold it in place. So I'm going to go, let's go around one more time. And just leave that tail hanging down for now. We're going to secure it in just a minute. So go under this next one, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Sometimes I need to look and see where I'm at. I lose my place. Under, over. All right, now we are almost at the end. So we're going to come under, go over. Actually, we're at the end. So what we need to do now is pull everything in snug. Take your needle and push, push, push. And then we're going to make a U-turn. So we're going to come back the other way. And then while you're here, where your tail is, go ahead and tie that. Okay, so what we're going to do next is keep going with our little weaving. And we're going to add more and more colors until we've built up our rainbow. So let's keep going. See how I'm pushing it in? And really pushing that in like that will hide some of these vertical strings that we're using, these embroidery floss strings. Okay, so go ahead and add some more colors, and we're going to keep the bottom here open because we're going to add our little pom-pom clouds at the end, okay? So go ahead and keep adding your colors, and then we'll rejoin once we get towards the end when we're to the red section, and we will continue on. So I went through all the colors and now I'm at the end. I just took it right up to the edge. So what we want to do is take that last strand and we're just going to weave it into the back. So flip it over and you can see we have lots of strands. We're going to give all these a little trim in a minute. But I'm just going to weave this in. Just pull it snug, and then you might want to straighten things out in the front side. And then I like to just come back and make another little pass with my needle. And before you pull it through, you can kind of send your needle through this loop and pull it snug, okay? Okay, so our little rainbow is complete. Now let's flip this over to the back, and it doesn't have to be trimmed perfectly. We just don't want to be able to see it on the other side. So give everything a nice little trim. Get it all out of the way. And if you want to, whoops, you can also kind of glue these down if you needed to. The next thing we're going to do, and I made a little pom-pom, we're going to make some pom-pom clouds, okay? So we're going to put one on one side of our rainbow and one on the other side of our rainbow. So I made one. Let's make a second one. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece of yarn a few inches long, maybe like 6 or 8 inches. This is the white yarn for clouds. And then what I'm going to do, my end got tangled up in there, is we're going to wrap the yarn. This is the easiest way to make a pom-pom. You can just make it with your hands, no special tools. This is usually how I make my pom-poms. Now we're going to make little pom-poms. So normally I go around all 4 fingers. We're going to go around 2 fingers. So hold this tail with your thumb and just go around. We're going to do 50 wraps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50, okay? So give it a snip, and then what we're going to do is take that little piece of yarn that you cut earlier and lay it flat on your table. And what you're going to do is just slip this bundle off of your fingers, lay it flat, and then you're going to bring up the sides here and tie it nice and tight. You want to get it as tight as possible because that will hold your pom-pom together. Now a little trick is you can take a little drop of hot glue and put it on this strand before you tie it, and that helps keep it together. Okay, and so now we have a little bundle. We got lots of little loops here. So what you want to do, I like to kind of fluff it up a little bit, is take your scissors and you're going to cut all those loops just like that. Get all those loops cut. I think I'm trying to cut too much at once here. There we go. And then once you get all your loops cut and you can't see any more loops in your bundle, start giving it a little haircut. So just trim it down, way far down, until it starts to look like our other pom-pom. You want a little nice compact cloud for yours. Okay, so once your pom-poms are made and you have a cloud for either end of your little rainbow, what we're going to do now is add some fringe. Okay, so I have all my yarn back out, and what we're going to do is we're going to go in the same rainbow order, tying it along the bottom. So what we want to do is measure out a piece of yarn, I would say about 8 inches, fold it in half, fold it in half, and fold it in half. Cut the yarn. And so now we have a strand here. Wrap it around your index finger, and then put it down here at one end where your red is. Okay, make sure you have all 4 loops on there if you wrapped it the same way as me. And then you're going to pull it tight. Okay, so once you have your little bundle, at one end will be a loop and 2 ends. At one end will be 2 loops. Go from the side with the 2 loops. And what you're going to do is flip this over, send the loop through, put the ends through that loop, and tighten. Okay. The reason I had you flip it over is because the one side tends to split. So if you wrap it this way, you get a nice solid piece, okay? So then what you can do is do fringe all the way around. So we're gonna do some orange, some yellow, etc. Okay? Now, when I'm doing fringe, I like to, now let's do one more together. I like to do the sides and the middle and then sort of fill in. That kind of helps me keep it straight. But if you want to just start at one end and work across, please feel free. So we're gonna do about 8 inches, fold it in half, fold it in half, fold it in half. Cut the yarn, go to the side where you have your loops, and I'm going to put this one right in the middle. We're probably going to have to do 2 purples in the middle for it to look balanced here. Okay, once again, flip it over and send your loops through. Send those ends through the loops, and then pull it tight. Okay. Now this is a little off center, so I'll probably have to do another purple here. So what we're going to do is just continue around with all of our fringe until we get it all nice and filled in. Remember, 8 inches, fold it in half, fold it in half, fold it in half. We're going to cut this at the end and make it nice and even. It's pretty long now, but I like to make it a little longer than it needs to be, because that way you have more control in how you want it to be cut. If you want to cut it at an angle, or if you want to keep it nice and long, it's really gives you more flexibility if you make everything long to begin with. Okay, so keep adding your fringe, and then we're going to rejoin and fill this in with all of our colors and add our little clouds at the end. Okay, so keep working in your fringe. Okay, so I've added all this fringe, and it's really, really long, but I'm going to trim mine just a bit. So what you'll want to do is decide, do you want it to be long? Do you want it to have some angling? I think I'm going to make mine go straight across, and I'm going to try here. Now you can always take more off, but you can't add more on, so just be mindful of that when you're cutting. But you just want to go straight across. And if your yarn is a little bit wrinkly, like see how my red is a little wrinkly, hanging it will be helpful for that. It'll kind of relax a little bit as it hangs straight down. You can also take it into a humid bathroom and kind of let it like relax a little bit. That helps too. Okay, so I cut a bunch of yarn off the bottom. And what we're going to do now is just, whenever I'm doing this, I like to just kind of give it a comb with my hands and make sure there's no long pieces. Now, as these red ones relax a little bit, you might get a long piece here and there as it straightens out. See how if it's straighter, it looks like that. But for now, you can kind of let them just hang out until they do that if you're having the same thing as me. The last thing we need to do, it looks really cute. The last thing we need to do is add our little clouds. So what we can do is, I'm going to tie mine on. If you would rather hot glue them, or you know, use some glue that you have on hand, some school glue or something like that, feel free. But what we're going to simply do, we have all these nice little strings that they can be tied onto. So I'm going to just tie them right on to my rainbow here. All right, our clouds have been attached. Our fringe looks great. And if you want to hang it, I have some red ribbon, just a little scrap. You can use some of the ribbon, or the yarn rather, from your project, but just flip your piece over, and you're just going to loop it in there. Send those tails through, and then just tie a little knot at the top. So this is a wonderful little thing you can give to someone. You can hang it up. A lot of people right now are hanging rainbows in their doors, and I like to just cut mine at an angle so it looks finished. And then you can open up this loop and just hang it up, and it looks super cute. So that is how you make a woven rainbow wall hanging. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.